My name is Mike Edward, and before you see my story, you should know one thing. I was not born blind. I was born with dreams. I remember colors. I remember my mother's smile. I remember the way sunlight used to fall across our kitchen table in the morning. But life doesn't always ask what we remember. Sometimes it decides what we must forget. I lost my sight when I was 13 years old. A sudden illness, a fever that wouldn't stop, a hospital room filled with whispers, doctors speaking softly like their words were too heavy for the air. And then one morning, I woke up and the world was gone. No shapes, no light, no faces, just darkness. At first, I thought it was temporary. I told my mother, "Don't worry, my eyes just need rest." But deep down, I already knew. Days passed, then weeks, and one afternoon the doctor sat beside my bed and said words that felt colder than winter. "Mike, your sight isn't coming back." That moment broke something inside me. Not just my vision, my confidence, my identity, my idea of the future. Because when you're 13, your life is supposed to be beginning, not ending. I was angry. Angry at the doctors, angry at the world, angry at God, angry at every laughing voice I heard outside my window. I stopped talking to my friends. I refused to leave the house. I didn't want help. I didn't want pity. I just wanted my life back. One day, my father tried to guide me outside to feel the sun, and I pushed his hand away. I told him, "Stop pretending everything is okay. My life is over." He didn't argue. He just said something that stayed with me forever. "Son, your life isn't over. It's just different now, and different doesn't mean finished." I didn't believe him then, but those words planted a seed. A year later, something happened that changed everything. My mother signed me up for a mobility training program for blind teenagers. I didn't want to go. I thought it would be full of broken people sitting around feeling sorry for themselves. But when I arrived, I heard something unexpected. Laughter, real laughter. I met people who were blind, but not defeated. One guy played guitar better than anyone I had ever heard. One girl ran track. Another boy talked about becoming a lawyer. They weren't waiting for life to return. They were building new lives. That night, I lay in bed thinking, if they can live, maybe I can too. That thought didn't fix everything, but it cracked open the door. Learning to live without sight is like learning to breathe again. At first, every step feels dangerous. I had to learn how to walk with a cane, how to read Braille, how to cook without burning myself, how to recognize people by their voices. Every task felt like climbing a mountain. I fell. I got frustrated. I wanted to quit more times than I can count. But each small victory mattered. The first time I walked to the store alone, I felt like I had crossed an ocean. The first time I read an entire page of Braille, I felt like I had regained a piece of the world. And slowly, I realized something powerful. I hadn't lost everything. I still had my mind, my voice, my dreams, my ability to work hard. Blindness didn't erase my future. It just forced me to redesign it. When I turned 20, I gave my first speech at a small community event. I was terrified. My hands were shaking. My voice almost disappeared, but I told my story anyway. When I finished, the room was silent. Then someone started clapping, then another. Then the entire room stood up. Afterward, a man came up to me and said, "Mike, I'm not blind, but I've been feeling lost for years. Your story helped me see again." That sentence changed my life, because in that moment I understood something. My blindness wasn't just a challenge, it was a message. And maybe my job wasn't to complain about what I lost, but to use my story to help others find strength. That's when I decided I would become a motivational speaker, not because my life was perfect, but because it wasn't. People always ask me, "Mike, what's the hardest part about being blind?" and I tell them the truth. It's not the darkness, it's the doubt. The world often assumes that disability means inability. People try to limit you before you even try. But here's what blindness taught me. Sight is not vision. Eyes are not purpose. And obstacles are not endings. Some people can see the world clearly and still have no direction, but others walk in darkness and still find their path, because real vision lives inside your mind, not your eyes. So if you're listening to my story right now, I want to tell you 3 things. 1, your struggle is not your identity. Bad things happen to good people. Loss happens. Failure happens. Pain happens. But those moments do not define you. They only test you. You are not your worst day. You are not your biggest mistake. You are not your hardest moment. You are the person who keeps going. 2, progress is built from small steps. You don't need to change your life overnight. Just take one step, one decision, one improvement, one act of courage. When I first learned to walk with a cane, I didn't cross the city. I crossed the room. That was enough, because small steps lead to big destinations. 3, your story can help someone else survive. Never underestimate the power of your journey. Your pain might be the exact lesson someone else needs. Your survival might be the hope someone else is praying for. You don't need to be perfect to inspire people. You just need to be real. My name is Mike Edward. I am blind, but I am not broken. I travel the world sharing my story. I speak to students, workers, leaders, and dreamers. And every time I step onto a stage, I remember that hospital room, that 13-year-old boy who thought his life was over. If I could speak to him now, I would say, Mike, you didn't lose your future. You just found a different road to it. So if life feels dark right now, if you feel lost, if you feel like something important has been taken from you, remember this. Darkness is not the end of the story. Sometimes it's where the story begins. Thank you for listening. And remember, no matter what you face, you still have the power to move forward.